Well, hello, everybody. Good morning. And here we are, the last episode of 2022, the last conversational episode. Obviously, there's Friday, but that's that. And there's some big changes coming here in 2022. One of them is going to be about the ad reads, but I can't talk about that until 2022. So until then, let's take a few minutes to talk about the brands that support this podcast and allow me to bring it to you. This episode is brought to you by Element, and I was first introduced to this by a dear friend of mine, Rob Wolf, who is often my training partner at Jiu-Jitsu here in Montana. And then both of us, after we train and beat the living shit out of each other, we drink some Element. Why? Because it is a tasty electrolyte drink that is designed to support active hydration and a healthy lifestyle. And as far as dietary-wise, this is probably one of the biggest changes that I've noticed an immediate difference. This increased uptake of electrolytes, especially post-jiu-jitsu, has been a game changer when it comes to not only my mental state, but my recovery as well. Element has enough sodium, potassium, and magnesium to get you feeling and performing your best. Plus, it has zero sugar, artificial ingredients, and other junk that you don't want. Why does it not have those things? Because Rob Wolf is a damn genius, and he is directly involved. Now, if you're speaking of performance, the best performers in the world are already using Element. I'm talking about Team USA weightlifting, NBA teams, NFL teams, and a host of special operations forces. Element can expand your limits as well. If you want more energy while you're low-carb dieting or intermittent fasting, or you want to crush your next workout, how about your next workday? Element has the electrolytes to help make this happen. A variety of delicious flavors. They even came out with one for the holidays, mint and chocolate. But we're talking watermelon, pomegranate, lemon. And then, of course, spicy ones that are amazing in cocktails. So go to drinklmnt.com/clearedhot and use the promo code clearedhot to up your electrolyte and recovery game. drinkelement.com/clearedhot using the promo code clearedhot. And they have the best return policy on the planet. If you don't love it for any reason, you'll be instantly refunded. This episode is brought to you by Disco, which is a skincare brand. Now, I've actually been pretty lucky in life. I would say I never had an outbreak of severe acne when I was younger, and my skin has been, I'd say, middle of the road for most of my life. But I know that there are many people out there that are looking for a great skincare solution. That's where Disco comes in. They are a clean skincare brand based out of Austin, Texas. All of Disco's products are created specifically for male skin issues like under-the-eye bags, dark circles, acne, razor burn, oily skin, dry skin, and wrinkles. Disco products are easy to use, effective, and affordable. They take the guesswork right out of taking care of your skin. They formulate all of their products right here in the USA with a world-renowned Ivy League dermatologist. Now, maybe you don't know where to start, or maybe you're new to skincare. It's okay. They have a starter kit. It's a no-brainer. It is an incredibly simple and convenient way to upgrade the appearance of your skin in 3 simple steps for just 60 seconds a day. It's got a face cleanser stick, an exfoliating face scrub, and a hydrating face moisturizer. It's TSA approved and it's very portable. You can bring your Disco products with you to the gym or whenever you travel, wherever you may go. Fits conveniently in your backpack and into your car. So if you want to check out Disco and try their incredible skincare products for yourself, there's a special offer for the listeners. Go to letsdisco.com and enter the promo code clearedhot at checkout for 30% off your first order. That is letsdisco.com and enter the code clearedhot for 30% off your first order. This episode is also brought to you by 10,000, the makers of the highest quality, best fitting, and most comfortable training shorts that I have ever worn in my entire life. And specifically, I'm talking about their 7-inch tactical short, which is the ultimate combination of durability, mobility, and versatility. How do they make it, you may ask? Well, they developed and tested it with over 50 members of the special operations community. So they went rucking and swimming and lifting and probably all 3 of those things in combination and much more. And from people from all branches of the military. We're talking Navy, Marines, Army, Air Force, Space Force? I don't know. I don't know if they wear shorts in the Space Force, but I'm going to say maybe. These shorts, they're chock full of features to stand up to the toughest session you could throw at them. They're made of an ultralight ripstop fabric, tough as nails waistband, permanent anti-odor treatment, no bounce pocket, medium compression anti-chafe liner, slide slits, and 4-way stretch for maximum range of motion. Now, 10,000 is a direct-to-consumer company, so there's no middleman, so you get premium fabrics, trims, and techniques that other brands simply can't afford. They're very collaborative in their product development. Like I said, they have a team of over 200 athletes that test their gear to ensure perfect design, fabrics, trims, and fit, including those 50 members of the Special Operations community. They have over 9,500 5-star reviews, no big deal. free shipping and returns, and a lifetime guarantee. 10,000 is offering the listeners 15% off your purchase. Go to 10,000.cc and enter the code clearedhot. So listen to that again. 10,000.cc, not 10,000.com, to receive 15% off your first purchase. That is 10,000.cc and enter the code clearedhot. Last and never least, this episode is brought to you by BetterHelp. If there is something that is interfering with your happiness or is preventing you from achieving your goals, well, BetterHelp is here to help you. BetterHelp will assess your needs and can match you with your own licensed professional therapist, and you can start communicating in under 48 hours. Now, don't be confused. This is not a crisis line. This is not self-help. This is professional counseling done securely online, and there is a broad range of expertise available because it's hosted on the internet. So therefore, it's available for clients worldwide. You can log into your account anytime and send a message to your counselor, and you will get a timely and thoughtful response. Plus, you can schedule weekly video or phone sessions to better suit your schedule. BetterHelp is committed to facilitating great therapeutic matches, so they make it easy and free to change counselors if you need to. It's more affordable than traditional offline counseling, and financial aid is available. BetterHelp wants you to start living a happier life today. So many people have been using this service that BetterHelp is recruiting additional counselors in all 50 states. Special offer for the listeners. 10% off your first month at betterhelp.com/clearedhot. Boom. That's it. We're done. We're done with the business side of the house for 2022. My guest today, Sean Buck Rogers. He is the co-host of the show we create together, Wine and Rations, which you can find on YouTube, specifically the FNG YouTube channel. Before all of that, though, before he became world famous, obviously, for Wine and Rations, he was a Green Beret. And he's been on, this is the second time he's been on the podcast. He has, what would be the best way to describe his upbringing? Actually, I don't know. I don't have the words to describe the environment that he grew up in, so I highly recommend you go back to the first time he was on the podcast. We specifically talk about that. We do not talk about it on this episode. We talk more about what we're up to now. So he was a Green Beret. He was a law enforcement officer. And now he is running the FNG Academy, trying to help others be successful in their pursuit to make it through the SF pipeline. Episode 213 with Sean Buck Rogers. Enjoy.
Okay, got the red smoke. Gun run, north and south, west of the smoke, west of the smoke. Okay, copy, west of the smoke. I'm looking at danger close now. Come on with it, baby, give it to me, I need it. You're cleared hot. Copy, cleared hot.
You ready?
Yeah.
Round two?
Round two, baby. Hang on. Let's start with the pool.
Is it good?
Oh, that's delicious, dude. That's a double barrel reserve. 40 Creek. That was yummy.
Full disclosure, we're recording this podcast at 7 o'clock in the morning, so that's how Sean likes to roll.
Sean's got a problem. Somebody needs to call.
What is it, barely after 2 o'clock? That ain't bad.
Yeah, no, I think we're doing good. Well, I turned my phone off out of respect for you.
You could just put it on airplane mode or the, what do they call it, silent mode, the little half moon symbol.
Yeah, that would work too.
Both of those work.
I'm old school, man. Just shut that bitch off.
I do that
Shut her down.
except for the fact that we're not actually doing this live. So let's say, like, I have all of my kids set up to ring through regardless of what happens.
Oh, yeah, that's a good
So,
point.
yeah, I mean, I care about people. Obviously, you don't. I mean, you can make the choices that you want to about your loved ones.
That's right. Hey,
So,
fuck them. Sorry, babe.
so you made a comment earlier this morning that actually was when we came back into the studio before we went up to have round two of jiu-jitsu, which you can explain that in your own terms in your own time if you want to or don't want to. It's really up to you.
Oh, we could just leave that out.
We came back in the studio and you said that the first time you were here, it was really difficult for you because it was the first time you'd ever spoken about your childhood.
Oh, yeah.
But you had already written the book, which
Yeah.
I know touched on it. Did you just find it to be more difficult verbalizing it? Or I was curious because you had obviously already committed it to, I would suppose, at least digitally, but
Yeah.
paper at that point. So what was the difference? Why was it harder to sit and talk about it?
Writing it was part of my therapy. So it was therapeutic for me. And I was like, yeah, I'm going to release my book. It's going to go out. But I didn't know what that means. Like, I really didn't know what it means to release a book. And I was scared shitless the day it went out. So up until that point, it was still my story. You know, even though I wrote a book and I committed to put it out there, I hadn't done it yet.
Yeah.
So this was the first place that I hit the send button. And this was the longest podcast that I did. So, and you asked the right questions. Like you really brought it out of me. I mean, I almost cried. But
that happened today in jiu-jitsu as well. So
those are different tears.
I'm just saying it may not be unique.
Yeah. So I may cry a lot. I don't know.
That's okay.
I'm comfortable with myself.
As you should be. I hope everybody is.
Yeah.
Can you imagine a shittier existence than not being comfortable in your own skin?
Yeah, which I think is pretty common, dude.
Well, I have aspects of who I am that I would like to do better.
Of course.
But from a general aspect, I feel comfortable at least being who I am.
Yeah, and that shows for you. But I think there's a lot of people that try to be something they're not, and they put on this facade. So then that's essentially the same thing, right? When you're not, you've had to create a front. Yeah. So that way you could pretend to be something that you're not. And then you're always waiting for that front to come crumbling down.
I was just going to say, I feel like that wall that you're building of bricks of half-truths, to be generous with the description, depending on who we're talking about, at some point there's got to be an earthquake that knocks that over.
Yeah.
That's got to suck.
It's gonna be terrible.
Yeah. And
so that brings me back to the first time we did our conversation. It's like, I knocked them all out, dude. It was like, fucking here I am, man. This is it. And I had no idea what that was going to be like. It was my first time meeting you, someone that's like, it's a huge fucking deal to come on this podcast. I mean, like, I think you're doing your YouTube videos, that's at 330,000 views on YouTube. I mean, you're not running a small fucking podcast, and that's not the downloads and all that. So this is a huge platform. And then to come onto a huge platform, so essentially me getting my break, getting off the ground, starting my business and starting what I wanted to do, and then to just have essentially what I felt like was no control over what I said, it was fucking terrifying. Dude.
I mean, you can control what you say, for clarity. I'm not... Just so people know before...
There's a gun under the table, and he was pointing at me, and he's like,
there actually is a gun under the table.
Is it really? Dude, that would be fucking sick if there was a shotgun under here.
Why are you reaching for it?
I don't know.
Can you think of a single fucking reason why it would be on the guest side?
Dude, that would be fucking sick if you had like the pivot shotgun.
Yeah, if it was you and me and some third party we didn't know. But
so
if
you
it's
could
just
pivot
some
to
random,
that guy, and you're like, that guy's out.
No, if it's just some random person that I've never met before, they don't need access to any of that.
That's true.
Now I have to move it. It's fine. Fine. It won't be there next time.
Yeah.
No, you can control what you say. At least you're in control of what comes out of your mouth.
Oh, of course. But
I don't hypnotize people before they come on.
Yeah,
just
but
so the listeners knows.
Once you, like, I don't know, man, these headphones and this mic and this kind of conversation, you very quickly forget about the cameras. You quickly forget that this is being recorded for other people. Probably 20 minutes into that conversation, I was talking to you. Like, me and you were having a conversation. And then I snapped out of it at the end and was like, fuck, we just did a podcast. And I'm serious, dude. I went back to my hotel room and I called my wife and I called my buddy Kurt, and I was like, I don't know, man. And he was like,
I thought it was awesome.
It ended up being great. Like, so many people contacted me after that podcast. They still contact me and were like, dude, I had a similar childhood. Like, the things that you talked about, that's what I went through.
That's the beauty of social media.
No.
The darkness of social media is the assholes or crazy people that have the same level of access.
Yeah.
Not a fan of those.
No.
I don't get too many, but there's a couple.
There is a couple, dude, and some of them are kind of scary.
Yeah, I feel like they want to wear my skin like a leotard.
Yeah.
And I mean, I don't recommend that they try.
Right.
But it's, I hope that they're living somewhere comfortably in their mother's basement.
Yeah, and that's far away from here.
Yeah, and tidy whities with Cheetos stained fingers.
Yeah, hopefully.
That's what I imagine.
Yeah, which is likely true. So it's funny because on YouTube, people talk shit. And they never post videos. So you can't see what that person is. Every once in a while, somebody does. And I get to see, like, well, they'll talk shit or they'll say something, oh, you're an idiot, whatever the fuck they say. And then but they actually post videos on their YouTube.
Oh, so you'll click on their profile and be able to get a look at what they're posting.
Yeah, and so I can kind of see,
I like this.
Yeah, and you're just like, this motherfucker. Like, who are you serious? Like, and it's so gratifying to see. Like, one time I clicked on this person was like talking shit, and I just clicked on the profile, and it was like a 13-year-old kid. And I was like,
just getting free rent in your head.
Yeah. And I'm just like, this motherfucker, this is pissing me off. And I look at it, and he's like this dorky ass little fucking 13-year-old kid. And I'm like I'm an idiot.
Yeah.
I'm a fucking idiot for 1 second allowing this comment to like get under my skin. And so now just.
It does though. Sometimes.
It does.
It's
of course,
tough.
Yeah.
Like we were saying, we both, I was talking this morning about a call I had with Evan, and he's like, hey man, you've been following what's going on? I was like, no, not even remotely. But then, of course, what do I do as soon as the phone call's over?
Yep.
I have to go look. And it is, I don't know. Don't get me wrong. I've done some stupid things in my life, and I've definitely perhaps made a snarky comment.
What?
Or two on the internet.
No,
but
I don't believe it.
I certainly don't make a practice of going out and looking for ways to try to tear people down or throw shit against their virtual wall. And I just wonder, and I've talked about it before, the level of health and happiness of people who go out of their way to do that. Because the people that I want to surround myself with are positive. They have goals in their life, and they don't have any fucking time to go on. For whatever reason, it seems to land on Twitter is like the worst of it.
I don't have Twitter, but is that where it goes?
That's where. Well, I would say I guess that's where I see it the most. But as far as that's generally where I guess I go to look for it too. So I'm probably just finding what I'm looking for.
And I probably should have it. I'm not saying like I'm better than that. I probably should have it. I just don't know anything about Twitter.
There's pros and cons.
Okay.
Right? Because it could also, for me, and I catch myself in this, and I try to do the best job that I can, I could see 99 positive comments, and I'll see one that's negative or fucking gets under my skin, and I'll devote 50x the amount of time to trying to drop a virtual nuclear bomb on that person as opposed to acknowledging any of the positive. It's such a fucked up asymmetry of the energy. But the people in real life that I want to be with have a great idea of who they are. Yeah. They're positive people, and they inspire me to be a better person. They don't go online and do that shit.
No. God, no.
And I've never actually had, like I was saying at breakfast this morning, I looked at some of the commentary, and I mean, I certainly don't surround myself only with people that agree with me. And I've had conversations, well, specifically, so people know what I'm talking about, the conversation with Evan, the verdict had just come out on the Kyle Rittenhouse case. And then for a couple days, it seemed like every platform that Black Rifle posted a video on is like, hey, fuck you guys, you're going to have an apology to Kyle. And I don't know why I just made that voice, because I assumed that's the voice that they were saying it in.
Yeah, but it's probably more of a 13-year-old kid voice. But
maybe.
Yeah.
Hey, fuck you guys. Yeah, so, I don't know. I just added that voice to it. But there was a lot of that. And I've had very deep conversations with people who would fall in line with, or I think would fall in line with somebody who would agree with those type of comments. And they're never that negative in person. No. They're actually, you can sit there and navigate your way through a lot of complex issues and have a very nuanced conversation and actually be able to break up that particular situation and realize it's more than just about self-defense. There's a lot of potential discussion points. But God, not on Twitter. Yeah. Well, I think maybe don't.
I think we should just take a point for me and you, for all these people who are hating on Evan. Go fuck yourself. Like I think they could go suck a dick, because here's the thing. From what I've seen of Evan, and from what I've seen from what he does for veterans, if you are gonna go on a rant about how he's shitty and you don't agree with what he's doing, show me what you're doing for veterans and how you've helped more than that guy.
Or I would say, show me what you're doing to help anybody. Show me what it is that you are dedicating your life to move the ball down the field.
Amen.
Or the rock down the road for this country or your community or your family. Evan's in a tough spot. One thing that I don't think, there's no way to express to people, which is fine. I don't expect them to have a level of understanding of the interactions I've had with him over the years and the conversations that I've heard him be involved with or I've had with him and seen behind the scenes. There's no way you could layer in that. And for people who have never run a brand of that size and built it and been put into a situation, not of their choosing, where a circumstance like that happens. And as a company, you're going to have to say something that's probably going to inflame or irritate one half or the other. And to be able to try to work your way through that, like you're going to get hate either way and still continue to try to grow the business and not lose sight of what it is. Like if you've never experienced that, just don't buy the coffee if you're irritated with it. We're talking about fucking brown water at the end of the day. We both have some, right? We got a delicious cold brew from a company that, put out of business in about 9 months. They can come work for us at the Black Rifle Coffee Shop. But it's, if you've never experienced that, instead of going online and just trying to tear somebody down, just vote with your dollar. It's the most, this actually, the internet comment will be, I mean, the refresh rate or the volume of comments, it's going to get lost in the mail in a few days anyway. Yeah. Just don't allocate your capital towards it. Vote with your cash and fucking move on. Yeah.
Well, and my theory is that, and I was telling Jared because I went and visited him, and it was cool to meet him, and to see how he does content, because that dude just kills it, right? Just constantly with the content. So we're trying to learn. And I was telling him, I was like, dude, people just want to touch you guys at this point. So that's kind of my idea, is that they know that they could just stop buying the coffee, but that's not good enough. They don't want to stop buying the coffee. They want to be connected to you. And you're so big that they're not going to be able to just reach out to Evan or Jared or Matt and be their friend. So what can they do? Well, if anything negative comes up, they could form a little bullshit union and circle enough hatred that maybe Evan responds. Boom, you touched him. Now you've been part of Evan's life even just a little bit, or Matt or Jared or any one of those guys. So I think, honestly, a lot of the hate probably comes from people that are such fans and that like truly love them, that they feel like they can't touch them in a positive way, so they find a way to touch them in a negative way. Because think about it, if you really don't care about a company, like you said, you just won't buy the shit. But if you are so invested that you have to like drum up all this hate, you're just trying to get their attention. So that probably comes from a place of love and a place of, appreciation and or fanship. You know what I'm saying? Because if you, to me anyway, if you legitimately just didn't like his views, how many people are out there that don't like somebody's views? Like, you just don't fucking listen to them. Just turn it off.
Yeah.
It's pretty simple.
Some people don't, though. They want to torture themselves with it. That's bizarre. They'll seek out things. I don't know. It's just not the way that I am.
Well, I think because and I like to include myself in on this, is that we're just trying to, we have 5-meter targets and 10-meter targets and 100-meter targets, and we're just trying to do the best that we can.
I measure in yards, but I understand the reference.
Thanks.
Yeah.
So we're focused, man, and we're just trying to do the best we can. We're failing, we're fucking up, we're learning, but we have this big picture in mind, and that growth it's all consuming, because I don't want to step on my dick every time I turn around and make a business decision. So like, how do I make it better? And then I've come to realize that like, when someone else succeeds, there's some people that look at someone else's success as though there's only so much to go around, and they took some of that, and so they hate. But it's like, to me, we're all on the same ship. So, your success brings you up. In some way, I truly believe that in some way that I get to go with you, even if it's because you created a path that wasn't there before. And now I could travel down that path. I
think it's tough for people. I mean, I've, just like anybody else, have had bouts of what you might call jealousy when you see other people succeed. It's a healthy place to be able to arrive at being happy for somebody else's success and not looking for anything else for yourself. Easier said than done, I think.
Yeah, for sure, and it still happens to me. I mean, like we talked about, I'm up for that thing. I don't know if I can say it, but
I wouldn't.
Yeah, so
a potential content project is what we'll call it.
Yeah, so if one of the other guys gets it, like, I have to genuinely find a place to be proud of them and not be like, oh, they got it instead of me and it should have been me. Because what is that going to do? Now it's going to make me negative, and it's like, at the end of the day, their success, if we're connected and we're good people and I can work to help them and truly be proud of them, then who knows what that'll bring in the future.
Plus, it's free rent in your head.
Right.
Negative free rent that you don't need to be spending time thinking about that stuff. You got to focus on whatever's going to be next.
Yeah, because that's exactly the thing. Like, if it's not that, well, then great. Now I could spend more of that time creating our own content and doing our own thing and getting this to where we want it to be.
How was the response from the SF community to your book?
I think the mostly the negative response was from the podcast that we did.
Really?
Yeah. So I accidentally dropped some names in there, and they weren't happy about that.
You could have told me. I could have beeped them out.
I should have. So I apologize for that. Shouldn't have dropped those names. But I think that was from a couple of my teammates. So like, hey man, did you have to use a name? But mainly from my teammate, one of my teammates who we're not on bad terms by any means. We're on good terms. He was just like, hey dude, I appreciate, what you're doing with focusing on your failures. He's like, but just from a teammate's perspective, it kind of makes it look like we did nothing but fail. And he was like, there was a lot of positive things that we did as a team. And we had a lot of success in country. We killed a lot of bad guys and we accomplished our mission. So, try not to be all negative. I see what you're doing. That's the kind of person you are, but there is some positives to highlight about what we did. So,
yeah, I mean, no conversation is going to be 100% complete. I was having this discussion with somebody recently. If I say that I enjoy cake, it doesn't mean that I dislike ice cream. Just because I don't explicitly say something in addition to that, oftentimes what I have found is that people will make assumptions and they'll fill in the blanks for themselves based on what they think or what they want to hear as opposed to what I said. Because I like cake and ice cream. But if I'm having a conversation about just cake, I'm like, oh yeah, I really like cake. People are like, fuck you, you ice cream hater. It's like, whoa.
It's like, that's not
I
what I
didn't
said.
say that. I also just didn't explicitly add ice cream to that. So if I would have had a more complete conversation, I would have covered all. I also like ice cream, everybody, and milkshakes and cupcakes also. Let's not offend the cupcake. You know what I mean? Like no conversation's ever going to be totally complete.
I don't like talking about like, oh, we were there and then no shit. Fucking shot at these dudes. It's like,
well, those stories are dumb.
They're stupid, man. And to me, it's like it's kind of it's low hanging fruit to talk about going out and schwacking. Like that's your job is to get in gunfights. And to be perfectly honest, I respect the shit out of everybody that we fought overseas. Like I'm not like
I have varying levels of respect.
Okay,
some of them I don't respect.
For the ones that were like, I guess what I mean is. I kind of treat it like a professional boxing. Like we both knew the risks. We both got in the ring to fight each other. And the ones that decided to get in gunfights with us, and duke it out, I got no disrespect for that. Like
I can respect them being willing to put their feet into the arena, like you said, with knowing the risk. I cannot respect them fucking little boys.
Oh, of course. I mean, that's not okay. But
yeah, it's not for clarity. There are some issues. I can't respect their the ideology. You know what I mean? That's what I'm saying. I have varying levels of respect.
No, that's
and honestly, like people who go out there and they want to fucking bury IEDs, like I'm not going to necessarily respect that. You know what I mean? I respect the person who will square up with you toe to toe. I definitely respect that. Having said that, if this country was invaded by a force that was, I don't know, 5x the size and probably five generations ahead, to be honest, we probably would bury IEDs as well. Like I understand the tactic, but that doesn't mean I'm going to respect the way that you went about it.
Right, I get you. My thing is like people that are going to shoot at us and we're going to shoot back. It's like the gunfights. Yeah, it's like, hey man, there's a two-way range. I signed up for it. You signed up for it, and now we're going after it.
Yeah,
so,
the cocksucker who put on a S vest or an S belt and walk into a crowd, I have no respect for that.
No, that's a different game.
But
there was definitely like mixed signals. But as far as the SF community as a whole, it's been pretty positive. But to me, that kind of says that we haven't branched out enough yet. Because I'm serious. This is what I learned when I started the YouTube channel. Was like when it was really small, like a couple thousand subscribers. Those people were like super. Like that's your core audience, right? Like they were thankful for the fact that a Green Beret was trying to help them get selected. So they were super fucking positive, dude. It was like, thank you, Buck. I appreciate you. This is good stuff. And then they're updating me on getting selected, and it was so positive. And then it started to grow, and it's like 50,000. Now some haters start trickling. 80,000. We hit 90. And now there's the hate is kind of coming in. But you start to realize that the more you expand, the more hate you invite in. It's like I start to see it as a good thing. And it's like, so when you're like, how's the SF community? Unfortunately, it's been positive. Hopefully we get big enough, to where, people decide to jump on the hate train, because then it's like they see it less, or maybe they see you more as like somebody that's doing so successful that they feel like we got to tear them down. Because that seems to be the case with people that make it, really successful businesses. Like, they don't have majority love. It's like a balance.
Yeah. I mean, they certainly, the more successful you are, the more attention you're going to attract. Not always positive. Have you noticed, so how long have you been doing the FNG Academy?
It's been just over a year now.
Is it safe to say it's designed around selection and helping people get through selection or prepare for selection necessarily?
Yes. Yeah.
Have you noticed a difference in the questions that you are asked? Like, and I ask that because I don't have a YouTube channel dedicated to that, but people reach out to me over social media, and there's oftentimes themes in the questions, and they drift a little bit. Have you noticed that at all?
I don't know. I don't know if I've noticed like a theme to the questions. I think they all just kind of revolve around the fears, which is
the unknown.
Yeah, the unknown. They're looking to me to like let them know that it's going to be okay and that they're not walking off a cliff to their death.
It's not going to be okay.
But unfortunately, it's really hard.
It's the opposite of the Hunger Games. The odds are not in your favor.
Yeah, really. But that's our goal is to, give them, because here's my thing is like, I need to convince you to try, because that's going to do one or two things. One, you're going to make it. So good on you. You got something that you really wanted, and hopefully you're a good, SF soldier when you make it and all that stuff. Or two, you fail, but you tried. And to me, I don't know about you, but failure typically brings the best lessons, and I grow a lot from failure. So my whole thing is, the more people I can convince to try, then we're doing positive either way. We're helping them grow through failure, or we're helping them succeed and achieve their goals. And they'll find failure as an SF guy, post SF, whatever.
I don't know if it's a good idea to have to convince people. In my experience, anybody who was asked this question the other day about my desire to be a SEAL when I was younger, was it more internally motivated or exteriorly motivated? I have found that the people who are have motivation that is exterior, like, dude, I just really want to be able to say I was a team guy, or I want to put it on a bullet point on a resume, or one that I've seen trips up a good percentage of people is my dad was a SEAL, or my uncle was a SEAL. Like the legacy
that
family
pressure would be tough.
The legacy family members, it's their rate of success, and this is totally anecdotal, no hard data to support this, but it's kind of just what I got a sense of when I was an instructor, versus the interior motivation of it feels more like a calling and something that is a drive. I don't know, I can only speak for buds, but if I had to convince somebody to give it a go, I'm pretty sure I know what the outcome would be.
Yeah. Well, you have a different perspective because you were an instructor. I mean, that's huge. I signed up, I did a year of guard, and technically I was going to be instructor, but because of the police academy, I barely went to drill. I went once and helped them with land nav. So I didn't unfortunately get that instructor perspective to see what it's going to be like when those guys trickle in. But my thing is hopefully whatever the reason that kind of got them motivated, that they're the type of people that once they commit to something, it's just 100% and they're in and they're not turning back. Or maybe it's in a passion that they didn't realize that they were going to have, and then it stokes a fire in them. But at the very least, if we could explain the negative sides of being in special operations, so they don't have this crazy idea of what's going to happen, and then they hate it once they get there, and then they have all that bitterness, that's a potential that we could help too.
Yeah, I think if they go in a little bit more eyes wide open.
Yeah, so it's we talk about all the shitty aspects of it. And honestly,
so here you go again, just talking about the negatives. Your buddy was right.
You did. Negative for me was fucking combat initially, and I was like, oh, this is the coolest shit I've ever done, just shooting the fucking gun and pulling trigger and all that stuff. And then we lost somebody, and I was like, oh my God, this fucking sucks. That emotional fucking roller coaster that all of a sudden takes a huge dive down, and you're like, this is the worst thing that ever fucking happened, dude. Like, I knew that guy. He's a great dude. We were just on the fucking range together training.
Yeah, he knows his family.
Yeah, and then now he's fucking dead. It's like one of my, I think 2 of my classmates, if not more. One of my classmates was black. His wife wrote a book, like investigating his death. I haven't read it, but I'll check it out. But black was in my class, and he got killed in Africa. You know that horrific video where they're fucking walking him down? Dude, it made me want to vomit to watch that video.
Oh, he was one of those guys.
He was one of those guys. I'm pretty sure he was the one hanging from the door as it was like backing up, and he was already dead, and like the fucking car was running him over.
Yeah.
Dude, fucking horrific, man. But it was like, for my diploma, it was all these highs of gunfight. We're winning. Like, every fucking mission we're going out, we're winning, we're coming back. Terp got shot, but it's like, he'll be fine. And then all of a sudden it's like, hey guys, 2-1 lost a guy, and he's gone. So yeah, deal with that and get a couple hours of sleep, and then we're gonna start hitting it again tomorrow morning. And then I remember leaving that valley, and I saw 2-1's team sergeant, great fucking dude. And I just looked at his face, and he's just chain smoking the cigarette, and he's just staring off into the fucking abyss. And I was like, oh my God, man. And we just drove past him and like just looked at it, and I tried to look in his eyes, and he's just out. He didn't even see the whole fucking convoy of MATVs coming up to him. He was so fucking, I was like, that's the rest of his life, man. And then
hopefully not.
Yeah. Hopefully not.
I mean, how recent had it been?
Since I saw him, like chain smoking?
No, from when you saw him chain smoking till from when the guy lost his life to when you saw him chain smoking.
That was the next morning.
Yeah,
we're trying to get out.
Yeah, he needs the one thing that nobody can give him, which is time.
Yeah,
it doesn't. I mean, we were talking about this at breakfast too, man. This narrative of broken toys has got to be attacked and changed, because I think it sets people up. I've seen people like that. Maybe I've fucking been that guy, but I don't think it has to be a permanent station in life. I think it's natural if it happens, but it's recoverable.
Yeah.
It actually can make you a better person.
100%. 100%. And that's my new focus. And with what we were talking about breakfast, that book is the second book, is like, I wanted to, like, people know that I started from a shitty childhood and had all these issues, and then threw some war in there, which, probably didn't help. And then, but then I'm like, as I'm trying to succeed and as I'm trying to do the things that I want to do, it's like all those issues empowering the shit out of me. They're empowering my drive, my determination, all the stuff that I want to do. I'm like, fuck it. Are we wrong about this? Like, are broken people better and more suited for success? Shit, I'm starting to think that we are. And then I was just listening to Malcolm Gladwell did a book, David and Goliath.
I have not read that one.
That's an older one. So you probably read like Tipping Point, and he had another really good one.
Wasn't it Blink?
Maybe. He's had so many now.
Yeah, he's had quite a few.
But which Evan did one with Evan,
a podcast with him.
With him, right? Yeah. So I did David and Goliath, and David and Goliath was talking about like a U-shaped curve on a lot of things, like, being poor and then having too much money, and trying to find the center of that. But he was finding that a lot of successful people come from broken homes, and he's talking about it's kind of crazy how many presidents came from broken homes, and just the correlation between brokenness and success. And it's like there's something to that, and I think that there's something very real about the power of broken people. Like,
is broken the right word for it?
Probably not.
I mean, broken almost implies unfixable.
Yeah, you're right.
I wonder what the right term with that. I mean, it certainly fits, and it paints a picture in your head.
Yeah. But it would be absolutely beneficial to find a better term.
That is more indicative or implies that it is repairable, or
Absolutely.
You're not in a static station of being broken.
Absolutely.
It's God, if there was one thing I could change, well, there's a lot of things I would like to, I think, change about. I guess it would be the veteran culture. Probably the number one thing would be the narrative around, like I said, like the broken toys. Post-traumatic stress, post-traumatic stress, post-traumatic stress. Fuck, I get it. It's totally real. Let's talk about post-traumatic growth. Let's talk about the things that you can do as you navigate your way through that. I don't know. I think that the human body is an amazing thing.
Absolutely.
And I think with the appropriate tools and connections, you can really you can dig yourself out of the hole or climb the ladder from the bottom to the top rung. And it's not easy. I've been talking about my own personal experience of not only the military side, but the post-military and trying to constant journey of reinventing myself and like trying to go down this path. Like that's not going to work, and self-doubt and questioning and my own feelings of self-worth, for lack of a better term. I mean, you want to talk about destroying that? Tie a divorce on and let me know how well you think you are as a human being, as you're watching relationships struggle with your kids and all that, the stuff that goes with that and rebuilding from that. But it's all recoverable. I just don't know how to change the narrative. I was talking with somebody about this the other day, and he's a contributor sometimes on national news outlets, and he made the comment, I'll be 20 seconds in on the topic that they want to talk about, and then it's like, boom, post-traumatic stress, broken toys. Like, fuck, we have to change that narrative.
Yeah. And because they can't, all they need is a few simple aids, like to help recover and heal from those things. And then it's like the power that comes from it is immense. A lot of us wear these bracelets, and it's not so we can like be upset all the time. It's so we can remind ourselves that we owe them a badass life that they are not living anymore. Golan's not with his kid anymore. So what am I going to do to like live the life that I've been blessed with, because I got to survive. I got to keep living. I'm not going to just go like fucking sulk in a corner and then be like, oh, I'm broken, which again, that's why we should find a better term. It's like, oh, I'm broken, I'm not going to do anything with my life. I'm like, no, fuck that, man. I'm going to do way more with my life for them. And then hopefully bring along some people with me to realize like, hey man, you there's so many people out there like molested as kids, and that's one thing that happened after our first podcast. Dude, I had like a guy played for the NFL wrote to me like,
no shit,
yeah, and he was like, dude, I got molested as a kid, and I had a lot of the same issues that I heard you guys talking about on Cleared Hot. He's like, I just want to reach out and say thank you for being so open about it. He's like, it took me a long time to talk about my past, and it's like, dude, that's amazing. And that's a lot of people. That's a lot of the feedback that I get specifically from that podcast, which I've done a lot since then. But there's something about that one that kind of rang. And I think we just dug a little deeper than I ever have in any other ones. But it gives people this like, oh shit, he had a screwed up childhood, and now he's using it to propel into the future and have a better life. Maybe I could do that too. And if we provide that narrative for these people, that's 10 times better. It's like, listen, we know you're hurting, and we know you've been through some stuff, but those things are also, they make you super strong. They make you super resilient and super powerful. And
I think is the optimal word.
Yeah.
You have to, well, again, not a expert in any of this, but I think you have to face them head on. You can't drown them away with booze. You can't drown them away with excuses. I think you have to tackle them head on and do the work. But when you come out the other side of it, you're going to have this Rolodex of experiences for the rest of your life that you can reach back into and do shit that will make people scratch their heads.
Yeah, absolutely. And like some of the unfortunate thing, which we covered in the last one, was like cops that they kind of just get ignored when it comes to all this stuff. Like they don't get any credit for having dealt with any of it. But they're in the same boat. It's like,
I'd say they're almost worse.
Yeah, 100%.
I can't speak for the SF community, but I mean, I had some pretty hard check-in, check-out dates when I was getting ready to go overseas. Obviously, we were training hard and traveling all over, but I mean, I knew when I was going to clock in, for lack of a better term. Yeah. The friends I have here in the Valley, I mean, they're doing like 4 days on, 4 days off, but they're a first responder 24/7.
Yeah.
If something happens in a restaurant they're in, they're going to go and do everything that they possibly can. And goddamn, do they respond to some stuff that is just like people's nightmare. And it's like, that's just what I do every day.
Absolutely. And somehow we're just like, live with it and then come back. Not only live with it, come back tomorrow. And then, oh wait, here's an email for this guy that he'll talk to you, but you got to contact him, and you're not getting any time off work. You're not going to get paid to go talk to him. You're not going to get, you know what I mean? It's just like, nobody's going to contact that guy. You know why? Because we got to go to work. And then the day after that, we got to go back to work because no one else is going to do it. Like I had a buddy, and I don't know if I've told you a story before, but Another buddy told me that my old partner, he's like, hey man, GP had a tough call. You might want to give him a call. And I was already out of the department at the time. And I was like, well, what happened? And he's like, well, he went to a call, and it's graphic, dude. But I think she was a kid of like 2 years old, maybe something super young, maybe like 1, was molested and drowned by the mom's boyfriend in a tub.
What the fuck?
Yeah, and left in the tub. And so he had to respond to that call, and he's the first person to get to the call. And it's like, now that's in his fucking mind, dude. And we're just like, all right, man, clock out, go home, get a good night's sleep, and come back tomorrow to do it again.
Or that's the first call of your day and just continue on with your 10-hour shift.
Yeah.
And pretend that that's not going to have an impact on the rest of your interactions.
Yeah.
Holy shit, man.
Yeah. And it's like, what the fuck, dude? And I'm like thanking God the whole time that I didn't have a call that graphic, and I've had some crazy stuff. One of the things was I pulled up to a car accident, and the mom of the car is hanging half out the front windshield, and she's just like, her arms hanging off the side. She's not breathing. She just looks dead as fuck. And her 2 fucking sons were in the back seat. They were totally fine. So they're standing in front of her body, staring at her, just crying. And I'm the first one on scene. We all pulled up and we're like, oh my God. And like, we couldn't get there fast enough to stop these kids from seeing what they just saw.
Yeah.
And thank God the EMS arrived and saved her life. Like, I don't know. I thought she was dead for sure.
She's not wearing her seatbelt?
I doubt it.
Jesus Christ, people.
Yeah.
Wear your seatbelt.
Yeah.
It's probably why the 2 boys in the back survived.
Yeah.
She did too, but survived in a manner that was far less
they weren't injured.
unscathed.
Right.
Yeah.
They weren't injured, and she's literally hurt all the way to her waist through the front windshield, hanging over the hood of the car.
Hard pass.
Yeah. So it's like, but these experiences, like once we were able to face them and like cope and deal and be like, okay, that was something that I had to experience. Man, how much stronger are we? Like that has to make us strong. All trials and tribulations make us stronger. So the people that have these like insane pasts, like they could fucking rule the world if they wanted to. If they could just focus on how to direct that energy into that positive direction, instead of using excuses and playing the victim card, they're unstoppable.
Do you think for the guys that you serve with who ended up losing their lives overseas, do you think that if they knew what the outcome was going to be on that particular operation that day, that they would have changed anything?
No.
I don't think so either. For the guys I served with, I think they would have, even knowing what was going to happen, would have rather been the person in that position than have somebody else's family bear that burden.
That's true.
Yeah. I landed in the same place, and I was giving a speech not too long ago. They renamed... Easy. You were just talking about not drowning it down with alcohol.
I know, but you brought that up.
All right. I was just giving a speech at a VFW dinner out east. And it was, like how do you honor people? Honoring sacrifice and honoring people left behind. And when I'll go and give speeches, I have like depending on what they want, though. Like, hey, if you want to come talk about leadership, I'm not going to talk about the sunset, right? Like, I have a template for that. But for stuff like this, especially given the ties to the person that I had, that I was at least hopefully trying to help memorialize and keep the memory alive of, I sit around a lot and I try to figure out the best way to get, like, what is the best way to remember somebody? Is it to name a bridge after them? Is it to name a road after him? Is it to put a sign up? And all those, I think, are great things, right? Name a VFW hall after him. Those are all great. But I think the best way is just to live a life that's worth their sacrifice.
Absolutely.
That's where I land, is live a life that is so jam-packed. I'd rather make it to maybe 75, and the vehicle that I arrive in at the end of that has got like 2 wheels instead of 4. Smoke is definitely coming out from the engine. All the windows are blown out. Stereo's fucked. Like, it barely makes it across the finish line versus like this pristine 90-year life that has no experience, no testing of myself, no, and I'm not telling people to gamble with safety or finance or anything, but no risk I was willing to tolerate all just so I could extend my life and not
Live it.
extend my life for the point of having a longer life.
Yeah.
The latter doesn't sound at all like what I want to do, and the former, barely making it across that finish line, is, I think, the goal.
Yeah. You know what? At the end of the day, depending on what you believe, you're going to be able to look at that person again, you know? And so when you look at that person again and they were like, hey,
You talking
dude,
about belief in religion?
yeah. And you get to look at your friend in the face again and he's like, hey, dude, like, welcome. I made you a cot. Hopefully it's better than a cot up there, but
I was going to say, what a terrible welcoming. Here's your cot. You're like, hey, motherfucker, like the one we stayed at when we were in E1 in the Army? What is this shit?
I want a gold bed, bitch. So if he looks at you and he says, you know, like, hey, man, like, what did you do? Like, you had this much more time than me. Like, was it awesome? You know, was it a good time? Like, that would be the shit. Is looking and be like, dude, I remembered you the whole time. I thought about you all the time. And so I was like, fuck it. I'm going to keep trying this hard shit and I'm going to give life everything I got because you didn't have the chance. And one of the quotes I did when my first company, I started this company, BM Customs, doing guns.
BM?
Yeah. So
Bravo Mike, if you will.
so Better Men Customs.
Yep.
And
Bowel Movement Customs.
Yeah. Bowel Movement Customs for all the farters out there. And so the slogan was strive to be the best for those who no longer have the option. And it's like, listen, man, you get the choice every day that they no longer have. So what are you going to choose to do with it? And fuck, look what we're doing. And here's another thing that's kind of cool to talk about. Something a little less like somber, but you and I, what we're doing. Like, I was thinking about it. I posted today on Instagram because I was pretty happy. I've had a great day. I've had one of the best days of my life today. So we woke up this morning. We had breakfast. Great diner. I love that fucking
Pretty sweet,
diner.
right?
It's so cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, and they're so nice, and the food is so amazing.
Sykes, for anybody who's up in the Kalispell area. Sykes.
Yeah, you have to stop there if you eat there.
And also, if you need a haircut, there is a full QAnon barber directly across the parking lot. We're not going to get into this because Sean has not done the appropriate amount of research or documentary watching. We could have a different QAnon conversation later, but if you need a QAnon barber, there's one directly across the street from Sykes.
Gosh, damn it, I want to know what it is. You gave me, it was like, it's super cryptic on the front.
No, you have to do your own research.
I'll watch the documentary because I can't wait now. And
Yeah.
the fact that they're so open about it, it's like a giant queue.
Correct.
And but anyway, so we had breakfast. It was awesome. And then we went and did jiu-jitsu. I fared pretty well.
Who told you that?
Huh?
Who told you that?
I'm just gonna assume. I haven't seen the footage yet, but
Yeah.
I think I probably crushed it.
No.
You haven't seen the footage yet either.
I watched it in 8K with my own two eyes.
I think you're making assumptions. I think we will wait to see the footage. Let's just be fair. We'll wait to see the footage and how Abel edits it to see how I did.
You openly said in the middle of one of the rolls, I hate jiu-jitsu and I want to stop doing this right now.
I said, we'll see how Abel edits it.
Well, you're slightly injured, which I was trying to be super cautious
Yeah, you
of.
were.
But also, though, you haven't trained in a bit because of the injury, so I get it.
So, hey, I wasn't going to say that. I appreciate you throwing that out for me, though.
Yeah.
You complimented me at breakfast for once and then immediately backtracked on it with a huge insult. But you know what? I'll take a 1 for 1. That's a development in this relationship.
It's better to slam the door if you open it a little bit more.
Okay.
You know? It has a little bit more volume to it, and sometimes they'll get their fingers in there.
You're a professional dick, dude. So we did jiu-jitsu. Now we're doing this podcast. I get to drink some whiskey with you and hang out, and then we're going to go film Wine and Rations.
Yep.
Like, how fucking cool is that? Like, a day to live like that. We live awesome lives, dude. You're building one of the cool... Can you talk about it? Did you already talk about it?
The coffee shop? Yeah.
Yeah. So you're building one of the coolest coffee shops that's probably ever going to exist. It's so fucking dope. And, like, people, especially veterans, but people have had a hard past and stuff like that, like, look at the way some people are living. Like, we're not special, you know? We didn't do anything that, like, we didn't have any gifts. Nobody gave us fucking money. Nobody came and was like, hey man, I want to make you successful. We're just working our asses off. But look at the cool shit that we're doing. Like you guys should have that option too. And if you're listening to this and you want to have a podcast and you want to start a YouTube channel or you want to have a sick ass coffee shop and do jiu-jitsu, like you should do all those things. Live a good fucking life. Choose to live a badass fucking life. It's out there for us. You know, I was a cop a year and a half ago. So it's not like, you know, it's not doable, or if it is doable, it takes years and years and years and years. You just got to commit everything you got. But man, these are some great lives out there to live.
Yeah. I mean, obviously circumstances differ for a lot of people. You know, one massive benefit that I've had is the military retirement, which isn't a ton of money, but it's a buffer, and then the healthcare that comes with it. And I just always try to be very open with the things that have helped me along the way. One, I've had a ton of help from people who are smarter than me in just about every area of business, and I pick their brains. You know, I really try to ask questions that I think are going to be impactful of people that I respect, and then the best way that I can respect their time to answer my questions is to actually fucking do something with that information, not be an asshole and just sit there. But so the military thing, you know, not the military thing, the military retirement and the healthcare, like that's a huge buffer that does allow people that are getting that to be a little bit more, I don't want to say laissez-faire about their choices, but a little bit more risky if you want to, because you can fall back on that. But I don't think that not having that should be an impediment to people.
No.
You have to find a way, and you're going to have to prioritize what it is that you want. Like for me, what I know I don't want in life is to wear a suit and tie and work 9 to 5 every day. I just can't do that. I could do it. Like if I had to, like if it came down to I lost control of everything and had to start from rock bottom and bankruptcy and fill in the blank, whatever it be, and only job I could get would be to like work at IBM, and I have no idea why I just chose that particular company, because
it came right to you though.
Yeah.
Was that in your head?
Probably like Office Space is what I'm thinking of. I don't know if working at IBM is like that, but I'm thinking like suit and tie 9 to 5. I could do it, but I would be so unhappy in doing so that my whole goal would be fulfill occupational requirements and then figure out a way to build back the life that I want.
Right.
And I'm not saying it's easy for people, and we don't have enough time or recording on these SSD cards for me to list the number of failures that I've had along the way. But find those things for sure.
But there's certain ways, and this is the second book is what I'm talking about. Like, how do we get people to understand that if you want to like take advantage of life, you're going to need time, and time is money. So what you're saying is that the military, which it has helped us convert some of that time from money
and also experience.
Right, and then life experience. But you could be prepping yourself, and you should be prepping yourself to take advantage of that opportunity when it's ready. So like I know guys in the police department that were making 100% disability. So they're getting, you know,
from a previous military job?
From previous military. And they're making a job that pays them, you know, $90,000 a year.
Yep.
So they're making $150,000 a year.
Yeah. And that's without overtime.
And that's without overtime, and they're broke. And they can't afford shit. So
it's not what you make, it's what you spend.
Exactly. So teach people, like, we need to be teaching people about money and how to manage money. Because at the end of the day, it doesn't matter how much or how little. If you don't understand lifestyle creep and debt and, you know, good money management, you're never going to, it doesn't matter how much money you make, you're never going to live the life that you want. And what you've already said, and the same things that I recognize that you said, because I do the same things, is we're just decently smart with our money. We're very careful about what we spend our money on.
I buy some dumb shit for clarity.
You bought $200 sandals. I saw that.
Yes.
That made me a little, and then you're like, just get them, dude. I was like, dude, those are sick. And then I didn't see the price yet. Yeah. And you're like, yeah, just get them, bro. And I was like, and then I looked at the price.
They're called toe-hold flip-flops, and they're fucking awesome.
Yeah, I bet they are. They're $200 fucking dollars, dude. It stressed me out
when I looked them up.
I
will buy some dumb shit sometimes.
Yeah. Well, you also said that if I beat you in jiu-jitsu, you'd buy me a pair.
Yeah, but I knew that wasn't going to happen.
Yeah, but maybe I'll train harder. If you get an injury and I could train up to it, I mean, it's a possibility. Everything's possible. That's what we're getting at, people. Everything's possible. One day I will get sandals out of you.
How about I just buy you a pair of those sandals?
No.
Would that make you feel better?
No, sir. I want to earn them.
And it would come with...
I don't care if it takes 10 years. I'm going to earn... Legitimately, I'm going to earn those sandals.
I don't know if he's going to be around in 10 years. I'll get you a pair of sandals, and it'll have your spirit animal on them, which is just a massive dick.
That's not an animal.
It could be if you put legs on it.
That's true. Or
A cock beast?
yours was a rooster, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Isn't that a cock? So
Yeah.
you put a big cock on your sandals as your spirit animal.
No, I just like those.
You just like the cock?
Yeah. Who doesn't? Yours will just be a walking penis. A cock beast.
If you got me handmade leather sandals with a walking dick on it, I still want to earn them from you, but just let them sit there. Just let them sit there. Go ahead, have them made. We'll let them sit there, and then I don't care if it takes me 10 fucking years. I'm going to earn those slippers. I'll beat you at something, and then we'll negotiate those slippers for
For
me.
clarity, you said you were going to beat me at jiu-jitsu.
Yeah, but I don't want to.
So now you're now you're telling me to get them, and also let's go ahead and change the scale around so you can start figuring out ways to beat me at something.
Are you going with it?
You can have the sandals if you beat me in jiu-jitsu, because
In
that was
jiu-jitsu.
the original deal that we made.
Who's that chick that hit the fucking ice skater in the ankles?
Tanya Harding.
Yeah, I'm going to Tanya Harding your ass, and then I'm going to beat you in jiu-jitsu.
Okay.
So as
I
you're
accept
walking
this.
into the jiu-jitsu, as you're walking into the gym, I'm going to hit you in the ankles.
You're not actually that sneaky, for clarity.
Yeah, that's true. You probably see me.
Yeah.
I'll bury myself in snow and I'll jump out at you like that.
Yeah, we don't get that much snow. Those sandals are dope.
They are pretty
Like I
dope.
said, toe hold, flip-flops.
Where the fuck were we talking about? Oh, money management. Because
Yeah.
you're like, I spend some stupid shit on my...
No, I don't want people to think, well,
I'm cheap as fuck.
But here's the thing. I bet you that there is at least a small portion of your income where you're going to make a discretionary purchase. I'm calculated in the amount of income that I will spend. I'm like, holy shit, that's awesome. I'll save up for that. Or it's like, oh, it's like $50. Fuck it. I'm going to blow $50
Yeah.
and buy that.
Right.
But I'm cognizant of where that number is not an unlimited number.
Right.
So
Yeah, I'm very careful, almost to a fault. Now it's to the point, like, no joke, like I make pretty decent money, and I'm like, my wife's like, we're going on vacation, and I was like, listen. So she planned a trip to, I don't know, was it Disney World? Which one's in Florida? Is that World or Disneyland?
you're asking the wrong person.
Me too. I don't typically spend money on vacations. Disney something in Florida, and she's like, we're going to fucking Disney something in Florida as a family. I was like, okay, here's the deal. Don't tell me how much it costs. I don't want to have conversations about it. Just fucking book it and tell me when we're going, and then put it on the calendar so I don't schedule content on those days. But if you tell me how much it's going to cost, it's going to stress me the fuck out, and I'm going to ruin the trip for you, because every time something, we get on the flight, I'm like, this costs too much. We could have got a better deal on this. I'm so cheap, dude.
How much money is enough for you?
Like to have in the bank?
Yeah.
I don't know, man. See, it's all relative though, because like, how much am I spending versus how much is sitting in the bank?
What number do you think you could arrive at where that sense of panic would disappear? Where you're like, okay, I have enough.
I have that number in assets, just not in cash. So I do have that number.
Yeah.
Sitting in. I don't like talking about money.
Well, I'm
feel
trying.
more.
I'm not asking you for
No, I get
exact
you.
dollars. I'm just curious, and I find this with certain people that there isn't a number where it's just more, and they arrive at the end of their life with a lot of cash,
Yeah.
and they never did anything with it.
So let's say this. It's
I'm not asking you for specifics by any stretch.
Okay. No.
I'm just curious more about your headspace.
Yeah. So me, it's I hope that this would be the case. That let's say assets, don't count those, right?
Okay.
Because that's not. I mean, it could.
It can be cash, but it takes time to translate it to cash.
So let's take those out of the equation. I would say an account that I never touch, that I don't ever have to think about, with at least like 100,000 in there. I feel like that would make me feel okay. But then that's the thing, is because now your thing is, well, you can't touch that 100,000 because
why can't you touch it?
Because that's for your savings.
Okay.
I don't know.
Savings for what?
I don't know. Fucking to make me not feel stressed about touching other stuff.
I don't think, and this is why I asked you that question. I
Yeah.
don't think for you, if you had that amount in an account, you'd be any less stressed out.
No, I think you're right. I don't know what it is.
Money, to me, has got to be a means to an end, right? It's fucking coupons for experiences. And I'm not trying to degrade or downplay the value of money by any stretch.
No, I get you.
But holy shit, man.
Yeah.
Like, to me, the definition of wealth is the ability to do what you want to do on the timeline that you want to do it. And so for certain people, that's a very different number. That could be 50 grand for somebody who is single and in their 20s, and their definition of happiness is backpack camping across the United States. They're fucking rich. Yeah. Right? They get 50, or they get $5 grand, whatever it might cost.
Right.
I know other people who are legitimately millionaires who are fucking miserable because it's never enough.
Yeah.
And they don't have an experience. And it's like they spend their entire life trying to build this number to as big as they can possibly get. And then when they go, it's not like you take it with you.
Yeah. I think
unless it would be awesome to find a way you could take it with you, like bury me with all this fucking money. Burn me like a Viking in piles of cash.
Well, who was that? He's like super rich. That's like their kids don't get any of it. Was that like Bill Gates or something? It's like it all goes to charity.
I don't think that's uncommon, actually, and I think that's the move. I think the move to probably ruin your kids' understanding of work ethic and appreciation.
Just give them all the money they need.
Yeah.
It's like, what the fuck's the point of life then?
You're 18 now, here's $50 million.
Right.
Go live a normal life.
Yeah. It's like,
fucking
okay.
Not going to happen.
I'll do something really productive with my life.
Yeah.
I think it just comes from a place that's like, I don't have a safety net. I don't have family that's going to be like, oh man, you fell on hard times, come stay with me. Or here's some money, I'll help you out. I don't have that. Like all my family, is either want to take from me or doesn't have much. So, and they look at me like, no offense to any, you guys know who I'm talking about, my family you're listening to. So you know who I'm talking about. If I suddenly fall on hard times, I don't know what the fuck I'm going to do. And that's, I think, was where that fear comes from. So it's like...
Do you have faith in yourself?
Yes.
Do you think that there's anything that anybody could do to hold you down?
Fuck no.
Then what the fuck are you worried about?
That's a good point, dude. I would make it happen.
Fall on hard times is that's one thing that I realize about people that come out of the special operations community. And I don't think it's unique to that. But we come from a community where adversity is viewed as motivation, not an obstacle, right? And that trips a lot of people up. A lot of people encounter adversity like, that can't do it. I mean, how many times did you fail in your career? In the pipeline?
Constantly.
Yeah, it's actually, you look at the Buds pipeline, it's designed to present people with their weaknesses. Buds is not like, God, you've done such a good job today, Bud.
That's something you never hear in
But come to the first phase office, we really just want to talk about how awesome you are. You did so good on this 4 mile timed run. You were and then that swim, never seen anybody swim. And then let alone the obstacle course, my God, it was like a swan going over the, it's designed to present you with things that you're not good at. And the people who can't find a way around that obstacle and turn that into motivation, they quit. Because you look back at nearly 17 years of being a SEAL, it wasn't about successes. It was about constant and consistent adversity and pressure and just a cooker that fried all that. So, I have reinvented myself so many times from being out of the military. I have no doubt that you would do exactly the same thing and that you would figure out a way to make it happen.
No, you're right.
So,
that's a good point, man.
What are we talking about, man?
I don't know. That's a good point. I like that. I really appreciate that perspective because it's caused stress in my life.
Yeah.
Like legitimately, it's caused stress in my marriage. My wife is like, dude, you have to relax on money. There's no reason for you to be this strict about money and tight about money. Like there's money in the account. There's been money in the account for years. I haven't had to worry about paying my bills in a long time, and I'm proud of that.
Yeah.
But it's like, you're right. Like if it came down to that, I would figure it the fuck out.
Yeah. Would you sell? I would sell my own blood to put food on my kids' table.
100%.
In your situation, you would you would jerk off for other men on camera to pay the bills.
Right.
Which I'm not judging that. I'm just saying for you, I feel like you would probably pursue that first before going to the unemployment office.
I almost would consider that. What are those websites? Where you just like pay a membership?
OnlyFans,
dude. What the fuck are we doing with OnlyFans? Like, can I like?
Dude, I've never been on that site. I'm never going.
I've never been on it either. But I think I keep hearing these about OnlyFans. Like people pay to like see people like take their shirts off or I don't know.
Hard pass.
To be on it or to be on the website or to be like have an OnlyFans account?
Both. No interest whatsoever. How much would somebody have to pay you to take pictures of like your feet? Or like, hey,
dude,
Buck.
Fuck it. I'm not like super against it.
Hey, Buck.
Who wants to see my feet?
I'd be like, I want to see you in a G-string on backwards, obviously, just
Oh, I
blasting
can't
out
do
both
G-strings,
sides.
dude. I don't like things up my butt. There's no way.
Wear it backwards, then you can just blast out both sides.
What do you mean?
You go vertical
like
with the
like a nut
equipment.
on both left and right?
Yeah,
And then would you do the up, like the high school up,
for sure.
flip up?
Yeah, the tuck.
the high school tuck
Yeah,
when you get
waistband
called on in
tuck.
class?
Yeah,
I mean, have you thought about that before? The reverse?
I think about
Dunk?
weird shit all day long. Like that stuff just comes to me. Here's the last thing I'll say. I'm not going to harass you about money, but just remember, it doesn't buy you a second of time. So all that time you spend stressing out about stuff.
You're not harassing me. I appreciate that perspective. I really do, because I'm tired of stressing about it, to be perfectly honest. And that was why that Disney whatever the fuck trip is so important, is because it's like I finally like let go of the reins a little bit, and I was like, tell them
Have you done the trip yet?
No,
Let's
it's paid
talk-
for though.
Let's talk about letting go of the reins after the trip is done.
It's paid for though.
Is it? Have
Yeah.
you ever actually bought food at Disneyland or Disney World?
Oh, you're right. It's gonna fucking kill me.
That's what I'm saying.
I'm gonna pack.
$76 hot dog.
Oh my god, dude! I'm the guy that packs shit in the fucking, like my wife. I'm like, you better. We're going out to the movies. I'm like, you better bring the fucking big purse, so you could put like some popcorn in that bitch and all the candy in that big purse and all the drinks in there.
Life's too short, dude. Life's too short.
I know.
And again, I think I understand completely where you're coming from. The first conversation we had at this table, talking about your background and what you lived through, like that fear of scarcity. Fuck, dude,
Yeah.
I get that completely. I grew up middle class. You know, my mom worked a variety of jobs she was not in the tech industry, but it was more, I don't even want to say managerial. I don't even know the best way to describe it. My dad was a brick and stone mason.
Oh, nice.
So, not upper class, not, vacationing to the south of France, but we had what we needed
Yeah.
growing up. But yeah, man, I see a lot of people who are sacrificing their happiness and health in the pursuit of money, and they'll get to the end of the road and they'll have this huge pile of money. It's like, fuck, man, hope it's worth it.
Yeah. Well, how do you feel about success when it comes to that? Because money is one thing, but then there's this drive for success where it's like
Success. What do you mean by success? Define it.
in whatever route that you take, reaching a high echelon of that. So obviously in the military, I was like, oh, I have to get special forces. I have to get special forces. I got special forces. I got on the police department. I'm like, I need to get on a small team. I have to get on a small team. And then I got on a small team. And then now the fucking lid is blown off with this whole entrepreneurship thing, because there's no limit to it. So it's like finding balance, but also like defining what success is enough to where it's like, what is going to make me feel like I'm successful as a person. When I look in the mirror, like, because right now I look in the mirror and I see a guy that's like clawing and scratching and struggling to make something out of myself when it comes to this realm that we're in of, whatever I guess we're in, entrepreneurship, in trying to make that way. But at some point, I don't want to do that. And I feel like when you and Jocko and Evan and all these guys, like, you guys just fucking look at this like, obviously you're fucking successful. Like, you know what I mean? Like, is it that way? Or do you feel like there's...
Well, you're viewing other people and saying, hey, you appear to be successful to me. So let's say you were able to achieve whatever financial level that would remove all stress, but in doing so, you had to be somebody that you weren't. Would that be success for you?
I would not enjoy that. I don't...
So would you consider it a success?
No, you're right. No.
To me, success is... So if I were to define wealth as being able to do what I want to do on the timeline that I want to do it, success would be the ability to do that, but being comfortable and happy with who I see in the mirror, because I've stayed true to myself, because I cannot sacrifice one for the other. They both have to be there. And I think if you can arrive at that, who gives a fuck what people think looking at you? Oh, he doesn't have the right car. Not everybody cares about your car.
Yeah.
He dresses in, board shorts and flip-flops. Yeah, because they're fucking comfortable. It's, I mean, to me, success is I'll wear board shorts and flip-flops and a t-shirt for the rest of my life, regardless of the meeting that I'm going into.
Yeah.
Maybe jeans.
If it's a wedding or something.
No.
Still board shorts?
Dude, I had a buddy of mine showed up to a wedding in a wife beater
Oh, no.
board shorts and a flip flop, and was drinking like canned beer and like dropping the empties on the floor in the middle of the ceremony.
Wow.
And then got up and left halfway through.
Did he flick his cigarette on the way
No,
out?
but just a legend.
He's like,
fucking legend.
Fuck this.
So
This wedding is horseshit.
yeah. Yeah, I mean, to me, that would be success. Like my favorite thing to do out of all this stuff that I do, it's a neck and neck. One is sitting down and doing the podcast because I get to have conversations that I think are meaningful with people that I find to be interesting. The second one is public speaking because it's a mechanism to take the experiences that we had and try to allow people to level up without having to experience them themselves. Like, this is something that I learned throughout my time. This is a core principle or tenet or leadership, whatever it may be, leadership, teamwork, integrity, fill in the blank. Like, take these things and go do awesome stuff with them. This is where I learned them. You guys, everybody seems to pay attention to this because it's some stupid job title. So here's what we learned. Go take this, become a better leader. Don't make the mistakes that I did. I think that those two kind of compete neck and neck.
So it's like the expression of you doing what you love and then also finding purpose and passing on, and helping the future generations with what you've been through.
Yeah.
Which is a lot of what I feel like I do with the YouTube channel as well. It's like that feels good. Helping people feels good. Genuinely feels good. I think I have glimpses of success when like today I feel like successful. Today feels successful because it's like we decided to do this business and then here we are doing all day of what we want to do. That feels successful. So I guess I have moments of that. But I'd like to find a sustained where it's just like I'm there and then wherever it goes next is where it goes next, but I'm already there. No more clawing and feeling like I'm digging through the barbed wire, through the mud underneath the barbed wire to get to this unobtainable destination. That's never going to happen because there's always going to be another mile of mud to claw through. It's like I'd like to find this like autopilot mode where it's like, boom, we're fucking here. Now let's just enjoy this journey and ride out. But I feel like I also know that starts in my head. Yeah,
I was just going to say, as I was listening to you describe that, you're going to have to find for yourself a definition of where that's going to be. And you'll have to understand and probably work on where those feelings of concern or constant doubt or the clawing comes from. Otherwise, you probably have all the things that you want and be in that spot and not be able to enjoy it. And that sounds like fucking hell.
Right. Dude, I already have everything. I have a beautiful home. My car's paid off. Like, I'm fucking chilling. I'm chilling. I'm traveling around the world, hanging out with cool people, doing content. Like, I have everything. Like, I'm so good. And this I know I need to figure this part out, but that's a tough thing. Is like figuring out. It's like, okay, dude, when is enough? Like, what are you gonna prove? What do you need to prove to yourself? And like, if and that's why I like listening to the book like Will Smith and Kevin Hart and stuff like that, because it's like those guys you see them not ever fucking reaching that pinnacle. It's like, how many number one movies do you need? How many fucking
zeros
sold
in your
out
bank account?
Right. How many millions do you have to make? And you grind like, again, like they're clawing for every fucking inch. And that's why I like looking at them, listening to their books and stuff. Because it's like, if that fucking person can't find enough success to feel happy, then it's not there. You have to find it in your own head, and you have to make your own determination of what that's going to be. And those guys, dude, like, it's nuts. Like and then Will did the ayahuasca, and
was this recent? He did that?
Well, the book is recent.
Okay.
And he talks about it in the book, so I imagine it's pretty recent.
Probably within the last 5 years or so.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So his whole thing was that he went down, did the ayahuasca, and then in his head, because he told his therapist that she was like, what do you want? What's your dream? And I don't know if this is after he broke up with his ex or something, but he was like, he said the word for it, and I don't know I didn't recognize it, but apparently it's when you have like multiple wives.
Polygamy?
Yeah, it was something like that, but he didn't use the word polygamy. It was almost like you have all these wives to just like dote over you or something. It was like weird. And he's like, okay, pick who would be in that group of either wives or influential women that you would just have in your club of women. It was like a club of women. And he was like, it would be all these like this celebrity because she's great at this, and this person because they're great at that. And he picked all his like most influential women that ideally he would have. And she goes, well, you're Will Smith. Reach out to them and then invite them into this club that you want to have of women. And then he was like, he thought about it for a couple days. He's like, oh, I'm going to do that. And he was all excited. I was like, what the fuck? And then he thought about it. And like, that's the fucking mind blowing like level that he's made, that he could just think about like making a cult of women that he feels. And I may have gotten that wrong, but from what I understand, that's what he's saying. And then he went back and was like, he told his therapist, he's like, I don't really want that. He's like, I can't handle one woman. I don't think I can handle all of them. And she's like, of course you don't want that, you fucking idiot. Like, that'd be a terrible idea. And that's when he kind of resorted to the ayahuasca. And then from there, like, found inner peace through the ayahuasca experience, because he like did a lot of self-examination while he was tripping, which is something I don't know about you, but at some point I would like to go to Peru. My wife's Peruvian, 100% from Peru, moved to America when she was 10. So like, I would love to go back to Peru on a trip and do like an ayahuasca experience.
I've got quite a few friends now who have done that, and they have all, might have all the people that I know who have had that experience. There is only one who had a negative experience with it. He ended up taking his own life last year.
Oh no.
And
like right after, like what?
Not after, right after an ayahuasca experience. He was, there was a variety of things he was working, or tools that he was using, working through them. And I'm not smart enough to talk about all of them, so I'll leave it at that, so I don't misspeak. But I don't know if I'm necessarily a great candidate for it. Hearing people talk about the experience that it has had for them, I appreciate that, and it's awesome to sit down with guys and have them talk about that life-changing experience. But also, they kind of describe going into it in a place that I feel different than I am in. I just don't know if I'm a great candidate for it.
Yeah. It terrifies me to think about it.
Me too. I have zero experience with psychedelics, and the thought of it is terrifying to me, but that just falls right back into the fear of the unknown.
Yeah. Because it's like once you start down that trip, like you're going. Once you drink it. And who I was just listening to is on Joe was Ron White.
I did not listen to that one. I know who that is, though, the comedian.
Yeah, the comedian. So he was talking about his experience. He went to a place in Hollywood, and it was like he stayed there for like a week or something. He had to actually, they wouldn't allow him in until he detoxed, because they thought he was going to die, because he was such a alcoholic, and he would drink so much. So they're like, hey, you got to detox for 2 weeks, because you might die from
the experience itself,
sobering up during the experience.
Does he still drink now?
No. So the ayahuasca helped him to quit drinking.
He was really open on the previous podcast that I've listened to him on with Joe.
Yeah.
Holy shit, he's open with how much he was consuming, let alone what he was consuming on the show.
I didn't listen to the first one. What was he, how, like,
he
just as a reference
point, he drank every day.
Just a lot, right?
Mm-hmm.
His one thing that kind of cued me into that was that he said for the first time in a long time, it was 7:00 at night and he could drive his car. And I was like, oh my God, dude, are you serious? He was like, dude, I looked at, it was 7:00 at night, and I was like, I want to go somewhere. Oh shit, I could just get in my car and drive there. I was like, oh my God, how much were you drinking that by 7? Like, you're so smashed. You haven't driven your car past, whatever.
Probably a bottle
years. A day. Yeah. So he said he did the ayahuasca. He said at first it wasn't good, and he didn't like the first round. And then but he stayed there and did it like multiple times in a row. So I think there's a certain level of like getting kind of comfortable with the idea.
I've heard that from a few people, actually, that the first experience wasn't what they thought it was going to be, or it had no impact on them at all, or it was delayed.
Really?
Yeah. I think that's why you go down there for more than one. It's a pretty well thought out, I'm going to use the word curriculum, even though I don't think that's the right word, but it's more than one exposure to it, from my understanding.
Yeah. But I think it's really cool that we're in a place in society where we're experimenting with stuff like that in the open for people who have problems.
Yeah.
It's like, hey, there's an alternative way to go about it. And that's two people besides, listen to Ron, but like we know someone personally that doesn't drink anymore. That
like a hard stop
on drinking because of this thing, because of psychedelics. And it's like, it's actually helping people.
Yeah.
So,
do you talk to anybody about the concerns you have or the stress or anxiety that you have?
no, I tried talking to a therapist once in the police department because ever since I left the police department, I've been doing a lot better.
Yeah.
And now that I do what I want for a living, like it's been exponentially better.
Yeah.
But when I was in the police department, I started to see like a real spike in anxiety, and I was having like I had to have to pull over because I was having anxiety while I was in the car to the point where I was hyperventilating and stuff. And she was like, she kind of just hit a wall with me, dude. She like tried to get me to like tap myself and stuff, and then I was like, okay, this isn't really working.
Well, you could find somebody else that has a different approach.
I might need to.
Well, here's the reason I ask is that, for the last 2 years, I've been talking to somebody every Wednesday morning.
Oh, nice.
And I just switched it to bi-monthly just because scheduling is picking back up.
Yeah.
And a lot of it is getting a sounding board or a different approach to derail the thought process that you're having about money. Because I'm not smart enough I'm not an expert on the brain by any stretch.
Yeah.
But I'm smart enough to recognize when I'm starting to go down that path. And I have found that people who make their living talking about stuff like this or talking with people, they can help you create alternate paths that you can hopefully diverge from the negative one and reallocate that energy towards something that is positive. And it's basically script writing that I wasn't able to do myself.
Okay.
So I went and found an expert that is able to do that. So it's not about like, and then I was scared. It's like,
you're finding tools.
And again, I don't know why I chose that particular voice. I don't know why I choose the ones that I do. No, it's like, hey, this is what I'm consistently dealing with this type of headspace.
Yeah.
And I've been able to recognize that sometimes these things will trigger that headspace or this type of frustration. And if I allow it to go unchecked, it spirals, and the negative energy can gain momentum just like the positive energy.
Yep.
So it's tools to identify, stop, and then redirect that. And it's been hugely helpful.
I'm going to look into it. I'll see if I can find somebody because I do miss when like initially the conversations were helping a lot.
Yeah.
And then once I could tell once she hit a wall and then she was like, you need to go to the doctor. And then I was like, okay. So I go to the doctor and he's just like, yeah, man, pills. I'm like, I'm not taking all these pills, dude. I'm not going to become a pill addict on top of everything else.
Yeah.
So I don't take the pills. And that was just kind of where it stopped. And I was like, okay, now I see your pathway. You talk to me, you try to get me to do a couple of things, tapping or whatever. She was like, tap your fucking shoulders. And then once you like run out of little tricks, then you're like, all right, now go to the doctor and have them pump you full of pills and that'll calm you down. Which I do like, I have found that the, having an anxiety medication on standby just in case of like if things get out of control or you just like, because sometimes it's not even a thought process. Sometimes you just be sitting there and I run out of things to focus on, things to do for my day, and I'm just like, all right. And then I could start to feel like the tension in my chest, and I'm just like, I'm fine, but my chest is getting really tight. It feels like something's sitting on my chest and I can't breathe. And I was like, oh shit, I think I'm having a panic attack for no fucking reason. And so
I don't think you have panic attacks for no reason. As somebody who's not an expert in medicine whatsoever.
Yeah, I mean,
I feel like there is probably a reason for something like that coming on. Maybe you haven't identified it, but I suspect that it's not happening for no reason.
Right. Yeah, I just haven't identified what's causing it, what's triggering it. But one of the things that I've been doing is and I've kind of talked about is like taking away triggers. I feel like we have to be selective about what triggers we allow ourselves to deal with. So like, and success helps with that, right? If you're somewhat successful in life, then you could start adjusting your life more than the average person. For example, like not driving in traffic. Like I am never in traffic. I don't drive in traffic. If I'm going to travel, then I Uber to the airport. I don't make my wife drive me because I don't want her in the car with the kids in traffic. So, and then I don't go to the grocery store anymore. That shit used to stress me out. People have no like spatial awareness, and to them it's perfectly normal. And now that I've de-stressed a lot, I can accept that they're not doing it on purpose, but I can still avoid that stressor. So I have my groceries delivered and I use Uber and things like that. So that has helped. So now I could focus what would have been a bunch of little triggers onto a big one, which is going to be a Disney trip surrounded by shit tons of people. There's going to be a lot of like calming myself before we go, telling myself, hey, this is going to be a lot of people. There's going to be people bumping into me. I'm going to have to just be okay with that. And I could take all that energy that I would have focused on a bunch of little things, irritants, and just focus on that trip so me and my family can have a good trip. Because the last thing you want is to be that guy where, you know, you're out with your family and your wife's just like stressed because she's waiting for you to fly off the handle. You know?
Well, the kids feel it too.
Yeah. And I hate that. I don't want that.
I think you could probably find lifelong ways to work through that stuff. You just got to find people who specialize in it.
Yeah. Which is, it's a hard thing to do for us to reach out, right? Because we just always like, oh, I'm fine.
Does it have to be?
No. I think it could be easier to find the people, probably, you know? Like, I feel like a good therapist should be easier to find.
Have you spent much time looking?
No.
Shut the fuck up.
That's true. I'm waiting for one to just knock on my door. It's like, hey, I'm a great therapist. Did you need
what
help?
are you waiting for? Business cards stuffed into your front door? What the fuck are we talking about here?
That's true. All
yeah.
right. Don't use too much logic, man.
Fine. Are there any women Green Berets?
Yeah. So they're, I think the first one shot like ND'd in her house in.
Is that frowned upon?
Yeah. Typically they're like, so that kind of irritated me. If that's true, like, don't get mad at me, but if that is true, it's frustrating for me because in the Q course, we had a guy who ND'd a paint round.
ND, for people listening, is a negligent discharge.
Right. So he negligently discharged a paint round. It's paint. It's fucking
simunition
nothing.
round.
Simunition round. It's paint. It shot into the floor. Nobody knew. So he comes up to the team and he's like, hey guys, I have something to tell you. We're like, what's up? He's like, I'm sorry. I fucked up. I accidentally shot a round of paint into the floor, and I just want you guys to know. And so we're like, all right, as a team, I vote. We keep our mouth shuts about this. And we move on. And he was like, thank you guys. I appreciate it, whatever. So we move on. And then somebody in the pink cards fucking rats him out.
Pink cards?
So the pink slip is like a negative peer eval. So you have to give one pink and one blue. A blue is a positive and pink is a negative. So some little shady fuck puts in the pink card that he ND'd into the floor. And then he's an honest guy. So when the cadre come up and ask him about it, he's like, yeah, I did. And he gets kicked out of the Bravo course. So he loses his Special Forces career. And then come to find out, this lady shoots a fucking live round into her apartment building. If that's true. I don't know. Do you have to say that? Like, am I, you know, like, if I'm pretty sure that's what happened. But I just want to say if that's true in case everyone's like, But shoots a live round and then no repercussions. She's still a Green Beret as far as I know. And, you know, there was nothing that I was aware of that I've heard about as far as repercussions for her doing that.
Is there an increase in the number of female applicants? And I'm asking because I'm curious. I'm starting to get more questions from women asking about the pipeline.
Yeah.
And to my understanding, there has been a woman. So for maybe for people listening who didn't know this, up until maybe like 10 years ago, the pipeline was male only. I'm sure it was the same for SF Pipeline. They opened it up to female applicants. I believe it was directed, a presidential direction to do so. Mm-hmm. There had been there had been women who had applied but had not made it through the pre-screening program. And to my understanding, a woman made it through the pre-screening program and quit on the first day of Buds, which, to be honest, quite a few men quit on the first day of Buds. A lot of people quit there. So it's not to say that, you know, it's just where people quit often, which has always surprised me because, like, what the fuck did you think you were getting yourself into?
Right. You thought it was going to be easy?
One day. You couldn't get it to the sunset on the first day. But, okay. I don't know. It seems like there is more interest. I was just curious if you noticed the same thing in that.
Yes,
SF
there's
world.
definitely been an influx in women that ask me about the selection process and what it'd be like for them. And I encourage them because, you know what, I've met some hard-ass women out there, and there's definitely women that would be great operators. There's no doubt in my mind that there's women out there that would be absolutely great at it. As long as, you know, like we would all say, is standards aren't being lowered. Because as far as we know, the Ranger standards were lowered for the first woman to get a Ranger tab. She was recycled more than the allotted times that everyone else would have been kicked out. And that's bullshit. You can't lower standards because you want to have a political win.
Well, you can.
They did.
But the consequences can be severe.
Right. And here's the issue is because they did that, they just screwed over every other female that wants to get a Ranger tab. Because you gave that female extra shot at it and helped her get through, Now every female, regardless whether they earn it or not, people are going to be like, oh, well, of course, women get, extra leeway, which may not be standard for some tough-ass women that come after her and earn it legitimately. So you're only screwing over other women that want to get that Ranger tab legitimately because you want to be like, oh, we gave the first woman a Ranger tab and we want it now because it's going to fit the narrative and we want to pump it out for media. So it's like you're just screwing over all the tough-ass women that are going to come down the road and do it legitimately, and they don't need you to lower the standards for them.
Yeah. What do you tell women as far as training for the pipeline? Because I tell them, they'll say, well, how should a woman train to go to buds? Or how should a woman train to go to buds? My answer is the exact same way that a guy should.
Same way everyone else does.
The standards should be totally blind.
Yep.
You need to be able to exceed the minimum standards, not just meet them. They should not be this heroic effort to clear the hurdle, and then don't expect any special treatment.
Right.
Like you need to go there as a student. And if you cannot meet the standards, you cannot meet the standards, and they exist for a reason.
Right.
But I tell them,
the standards aren't there to keep you out. The standards are there to make sure everyone has an equal level of hardness and capability in the ability to perform the tasks, not because they want more men or they want more women. It's like nobody gives a shit, dude. Like I went to the police department. Another interesting thing, police department shoots a round off in his house. A cop does. He shoots a shotgun off. He was drinking and shot a shotgun off in his house. Fired the next day. So it's like, but anyway, I had women partners as in the police department on that small team. One of my partners was a female, and she was phenomenal. Like I would get in a gunfight with her. She was hard as nails. She was actually going for the SWAT team, and she didn't want any handouts. She trained her ass off to meet the SWAT standards, even though there was a lot of dudes on the team that may not be able to meet those standards anymore because they've been on the team so long, and they got comfortable not talking shit. That's just how it works, If you're not going to hold them up to the standard, then they're not going to fucking do it.
Well, if you're not going to hold them to the standard, maybe the standard doesn't mean shit.
Right, and that's the department's issue.
That's a leadership failure.
It's like, listen, if we're not testing them and making sure that they're all holding the standard, then then how are you going to make the new people coming in meet that standard? It's like double-edged sword. You're just being a hypocrite. But she never once expected leeway because she was a woman. She was like, I'm going to fucking do the pull-ups. She made sure she could do the pull-ups with the vest on. She made sure that she was fully capable to do everything that they needed her to do. But then there's other women who also want her on the SWAT team that, are showing up and they have short shorts on and they got low-cut shirts and, they're a little extra flirty and they can't do the standard, but they're really good friends with you. And it's like, okay, so you're clearly taking a approach, and then my partner is clearly taking another approach. And that's up to the department and to the military to differentiate when it comes to setting those standards. And that's why you have a hard standard.
Yeah, I hope they hold them. There's nothing good that comes from moving a standard around just to gain a narrative victory, in my opinion at least. I haven't seen it be anything but radically negative in long term.
Would you want that? That's the thing. Like, think about that. Like, if they're like, hey man, that we need more like white males with brown hair, black hair, like your height, like, and the last name's Stumpf, like you're the perfect fit. Like, we're gonna lower the standard.
Fuck no, I wouldn't want that.
Right. So why would they want it? You want to earn it just like everybody else. So when you get to the fucking playing field and you guys are all playing ball, you know that you all earned your spot on the team.
Yeah, I agree.
It's not about fucking the trident. It's not about the tab. It's about fucking we all earn this shit together, and that's what bonds you. So you're just degrading so much because you think that you're gonna create a narrative. But
out of all the stuff you do, what's your favorite?
What do you mean, like do now for career wise?
Professionally?
This, like going around shooting content with people is an absolute blast. We went out and shot with Evan and did Green Beret versus. So you started a thing kicking my ass on jiu-jitsu.
You kicked your own ass.
You say that, but you had a big hand in the kicking of the ass.
Whose idea was it?
It was your idea, I think.
Bullshit.
Dude, it was your idea.
I'm sorry, who called who out? Is there a video of me calling you out anywhere?
You know what? I was just trying to have a good time. I was just trying to pump you up a little bit. That was all in good fun.
Appreciate that.
You took it very serious. So then Evan probably just saw that as a chance to have a good time. He calls me out, kicks my ass in ping pong. And then now I guess that's my thing is I travel around helping, uplift people and make them feel good about themselves.
Who are you going to call out next?
So we have one to Nick Bear from Bear Performance Nutrition, and I'm going out and we're going to...
Just challenge him to a foot race.
Yeah, the guy that just did the 100-mile Leadville Marathon.
Challenge him to a marathon. Have fun with that. Pack a lunch.
Yeah. It's like, that dude's a fucking monster.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, in every respect.
Yeah, so we're doing an eating contest. So I figured, like, listen, man, I can't do anything physical with that guy because there's just no chance. So like, I just picked something random. I was like, what do you think about an eating contest? He's like, let's do it. I'll kick your ass.
What are you going to eat?
I don't know. Probably not anything penis shaped because of the way that you just looked at me.
I'm thinking you're just going to slide hot dogs down your throat without chewing.
I saw that look in your face. What are you going to eat?
It's like 6 feet of hot dogs and just gut.
If we do hot dogs, I'm going to eat them sideways. I will take sideways bites.
Why would you do that?
Because so it doesn't look like I'm shoving a dick in my mouth. What do you mean, why would I do that?
It's a really inefficient way to eat a hot dog.
Yeah, but you make me feel uncomfortable the way you said, what do you guys
It's not my
eat?
fault. You don't have a gag reflex.
Not my fault either. I was born that way.
Yeah, just jam them in there. Just bah. Yeah.
So I don't know what we're gonna eat yet, but and maybe we can compete at a couple other things. But right now,
It
on
needs
the
to be
table,
really sugary because I feel like his diet is probably pretty clean.
Oh, that's a good point.
Yeah, so you need to go.
Just fuck him up with something like really unhealthy.
You need to hit him with something that he's not traditionally going to eat very much of.
Yeah, just like maybe like an everything pizza or something like really.
That might not be enough. I'm thinking like sugary.
Sugar. Okay.
Like
That's a good idea. I like that.
ice cream sundaes.
But we don't tell him until it's time for the eating contest. We're just like, hey, Nick, you ready for the eating contest?
Yeah.
And he's like, yeah, man, let's do it. And then I pull it out and it's just fucking tubs of ice cream.
Or like gummy worms. Just
Yeah.
something that's going to really upset his stomach.